It's a few months since I bought this pair of tables. When I saw these, it was a case of I have to have these. I took one look at them and they just completely bowled me over. The beauty, the quality, the integrity and the intensity of these tables is just something so rare, so fabulous that I had to have them. Let's just start with a brief description of the tables. They're a pair of semi-elliptical console tables, executed in satinwood, with rosewood crossbanding and the most wonderful neoclassical marquetry inlays on them. And in the research that we were doing, Philippa made a note of the different awards that Wright and Mansfield received for their beautiful furniture. Philippa?
Well, in fact, David, they were at the International Exhibition in London in 1862, followed by the Paris Exhibition Universelle in 1867, where they won a gold medal, as well as the Philadelphia Centennial Exhibition in 1876.
And as a result of the awards that they got, the Victoria and Albert Museum acquired a number of pieces by Wright and Mansfield to show members of the public how fabulous the quality of their work was and how it compared so brilliantly with the work that was done in the 18th century by the likes of Insa Mayhew. And as an example, we have here the book on Insa Mayhew that was recently published and written by Hugh Roberts and Charles Cator. And in this book there are illustrations of pieces that were made by Insa Mayhew, including a very, very beautiful commode. They made a commode for the Countess of Derby, and that was in the 18th century. In the 19th century, Wright and Mansfield copied it exactly, and that was the strength of their work. The iconography that you see here is typical, absolutely typical, of the iconography that was introduced by Robert and James Adam, the Adam brothers, in the 18th century. And when we talk of the iconography, I know Philippa and I spent a lot of time looking at the different symbols that you have.
Now, David, will you explain some of these symbols? What are we seeing here?
I'm happy to do so. What we've got is here in the centre this large tazza or dish with a pair of griffins, mythological creatures, and you can see that they're joined to these, again, urns by chains of husks running right the way through. And again, over here, from the urn, going to the griffin on the corner there, again in a tazza, and sprouting this anthemion at the top. We also have the inlays here on the frieze, simulating flutes. And on the legs, we have these paterais, or flower heads, on each of the styles, and the legs themselves with ribbons and trailing bellflowers coming all the way down the legs. The quality. I don't think I have ever seen more vibrant satinwood on a piece of furniture.
Now, David, when you're saying that you're seeing these neoclassical motifs, which we've seen in Italy, we've seen on the Ottaviani's, representations of the loggia made by Raphael, what made you understand that these were neoclassical revival and not neoclassical direct?
There are a couple of things. One is the size. They're just that little bit smaller than a pair of 18th century console tables would have been. And it's the weight. They don't have the same weight as an 18th century console table. The design could be straight out of Adam's books of designs. They could have been made by Insa Mayhew, but they were made by Wright and Mansfield 100 years later.
Now, when you're looking at these and imagining them in the home, I see that they're a pair. Can they go together?
No, they would have been made as a pair of console tables, and we know this, although Technically, you could put them back to back in the middle of a room, but there are no fixings on there for clamping them together, so they'd have stood in the middle of a room and would have fallen over. So, no, these were made to stand at the side of a room, probably on the piers between the windows, and they might very well have had a mirror over each one of them to reflect more light into the room, making it lighter, making it more enjoyable to sit in the room. And on each of these you might have had quite an important candelabra. And the light, of course, from the candelabra, from the glowing candles, would have been reflected off the mirrors into the room again. This was part and parcel of the interior decoration that was so pioneered by Robert and James Adam.
And of course, David has mentioned to me that these have an overhang in the back, which would have kept the tables out from the skirting at the side of the rooms.
And that's exactly right. I'd say it's about an inch overhang at the back so that it could go right up against the wall with the skirting board not being disturbed. The most beautiful pair of tables. They are quite extraordinary, an extraordinary find, and I just can't tell you how thrilling it is to have them, even if we only have them for a short period of time. But to be able to look at these every day, it's just thrilling. It's what being an antique dealer is all about. Living, albeit for a short period, with the most beautiful things you can find. That's why every day we all rush to go to work, because something exceptional is going to happen. I do hope you've enjoyed watching this video. We've certainly had a lot of fun putting it all together. If you want to keep up to date with our most recent acquisitions, invitations to antiques fairs and news about the trade, then you can do so by signing up to our regular e-newsletter using the link below. Thank you.